Hello, we are back with Hoppy Hanukkah, night 4. Hello, Todd.
Hi, Chad. How are you?
Doing well. How's your Hanukkah been so far?
Hanukkah is the best. I've every night I'm taking a picture of my dog sitting behind the candles at our table, which has brought me a ton of joy. How's it going for you?
I love that. That is such a fun. Do you do that every year?
No.
The picture of Olive
I'm she
at the table?
she's really gotten into sitting at the dining room table with us, so we're just letting it run.
That is awesome. Todd,
Depends who
we
you
haven't we have a great night ahead of us. We've got an awesome guest. I'm very excited to bring our guest on in a bit. Should we just get into
formal introductions. Welcome to the
formal
Hoppy Hanukkah Craft
introductions? Oh,
Beer
yes.
Experience hosted by City Brew Tours. My name is Todd Summers.
And I am Chad Brodsky, and we will be your Jewish drinking buddies now for the next 5 nights. Always got
Mhm.
that.
Base, yeah.
So,
Let's
yeah,
open our
you
night four
ready?
beer.
Let's open up night 4. Got my box right here, already opened it.
The can stresses me out a little bit because of the high wire act, which would be the fastest way I could do an activity and die. Um,
I'm very excited for some high wires. So high wires. So we have a brew tour in Asheville, and Highwire is one of our partners there, and they
mhm.
make some epic beer.
Yeah, and they've expanded. They've done a really good job. They're Charlotte, Nashville, I think they've got tap rooms. I think their
Yeah,
production space.
they've got a few in Asheville as well as some outside of Asheville, but they started in the South Slope of Asheville.
Yeah,
All
right
right,
by the
so
Biltmore estate.
we'll be, as we grab this beer over the next 30 ish minutes, we'll be enjoying our leisure time lager from Highwire Brewing Company, as I mentioned in Asheville, North Carolina. And as Highwire has dubbed this beer, it's the official beer of relaxation. I mean, that is quite the dubbing of a beer. So cheers everyone at home, and we'll also be bringing on a special guest. It's Rabbi Charlie Schwartz, who is the co-founder of Lair House, which is referred to as a Jewish tavern and house of learning. And only a couple of weeks ago, Lair House was ranked as one of the top new restaurants of 2023 in America by Esquire magazine. So very excited to be talking to Charlie in a bit.
No big deal. Um, and for everyone hanging out at home, um, we encourage you every night to drink the beer with us if you have the willpower. We had the West Coast, East Coast time zone, probably easier if you're on the West. Um, Remember to use the chat for banter, tasting notes, comments, etc. And if you're watching on YouTube, we'll only see your questions and comments here on Zoom. If you have any questions, the Q&A is a great place for that. Housekeeping.
Love the housekeeping. It's always it's a very important piece of every night is to make sure that we get
And it's
the
easy. There's no
keeping
vacuuming.
this pot live stream clean.
Exactly.
Todd, do you know what day is today?
Today is Sunday the 10th. My computer told me that. It's night 4 of Hanukkah.
That was not the answer that I was looking for. Yes, Brianna got it. It's National Lager Day. So the question is, did our team at City Brew Tours know that it was National Lager Day on December 10th
Did I
and
know it was
put
National?
in a leisure time lager intentionally? Or is that another Hanukkah miracle?
To quote Squints from the movie The Sandlot, been planning it for years.
I wish. No. We are just I'm not gonna.
Serendipity.
Yeah, this is a Hanukkah miracle. Now, can anyone in the chat? This is something that we ask our tour guides as part of when we start with a new hire before we even like in the interview process, we asked them the differences between ales and lagers. Todd, this one, is one of the questions from the tour guide interviews. I would love to see from the chat if someone can name one difference between ales and lagers. Let's see what we got.
Temperature
Temperature. Brianna's on
of
top.
what? Oh, we got top versus bottom fermented.
We got potential guides on the live stream tonight. This is great.
cityofintruth.com/jobs. Um, all of that is correct. So lagers ferment from the bottom up. They prefer, so Brianna mentioned temperature. Lagers prefer colder temperatures to ales. Ales can get nice and those yeasts can run at crazy hot temperatures. Lagers like it cold. It takes a little longer. They hang out at the bottom.
Ale comes first. I like Elisa's. Ale comes first in the alphabet. Yeah, John mentioned. So the word lager literally means storage in German. Yeah, the original word came from Lagerung, which is storage. I don't know if I'm butchering that German, but Lagerung, and it's the German word for storage. And that's essentially what they used to do with lagers. Before refrigeration, they would just find a nice cold cave or carve a nice little nook out of the side of a mountain and throw their beer in there and store it. And what do you know? It's colder. Caves, cold storage. See, John could be running. I think we should just have switch and just let John run it.
Yeah. He passed. You almost had him.
All right. Charlie is having some issues, so he might have to jump off a little early. So I think maybe we
pull him in.
Just pull him in. So Charlie, are you there?
Come on in, Charlie.
I am here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Visible. We can't see you. That might be because I might have turned your video off. Let me see if I can turn that back on. There
he is.
Hey guys.
There you are.
Hey, Charlie.
You're doing good. How are you doing?
Thanks for having me. My apologies if I have to jump off a little bit early. It's always different issues going on.
No worries.
Business ownership.
Yeah.
So
happy Hanukkah, you guys.
Happy Hanukkah.
You as well.
Yeah, I was very excited to be able to get you on as a guest. Lair House, I was only there a couple weeks ago, and I had their beet Reuben, and it was just so good. And I thought, okay, well, besides this beet Reuben, you guys have a really interesting story. Congratulations on the recent best restaurant of 2023. Like, that's a big deal. So
thank you.
Golf claps for you, sir.
Thank you.
So, do you mind telling us a little bit about, well, Todd, should we do like the quick five first? I think we need to do the quick five first. All right. Say your name, where you're from, and your title within Lair House. That's the first question.
My name is Rabbi Charlie Schwartz. I'm originally from Portland, Oregon, but I currently live in Newton, Massachusetts, and I'm the director of Lair House, the world's first Jewish tavern and house of learning.
So cool.
That's the best job title I've ever heard.
Best. All right. Next question. If you could drink with any Jew, dead or alive in history, who are you having a beer with?
That's I think my like a ancestor, like a great grandfather, like someone like not famous but directly connected to me, that great grandfather.
Nice. All right, last question. Being a restaurant owner, if you could have one food for the rest of your life, what is it? Is it the beet Reuben?
I'll make it a beer, because I know where we are. It's funny, like, I grew up on the West Coast with like really hoppy IPAs is kind of like the standard, and like the longer I do this, the more just like a Miller High Life is the most delicious thing in the world.
Wait, so you would rather not have the food? You're just you're choosing a Miller High Life over any food that you could possibly have for.
I'm trying. I know. This is Hoppy Hanukkah here, so I want to play to the. So yeah. So
We'll get to the beer angle of why we brought you on,
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
bit. Is there a food though?
Really good salmon. Let's say like some really good salmon.
Like lox? Are we talking? Or are we talking what kind of?
Fresh, cured, just delicious. Yeah.
All right, awesome.
I'm adding another question to Chad's fast five, which is now fast three. So this is now fast four tonight. Um, if you
We're
had to
fast and loose here, Todd.
yeah, if you had to recommend one, I know Jewish House of Learning. If you had to recommend one piece of literature to our audience, what would you Jewish related? What would you recommend?
That's such a good question.
Thank you.
I would say, I mean, honestly, like the Talmud, it's like the Talmud's really great, and like there's some like great kind of compendiums of small passages. Liel Leibovitz just had one come out called like yeah, yeah. I would say like just like dive into the Talmud, because like if you really want to understand like the scope of Judaism, like that's a great place to start. And the other one I would say would be Dara Horn's "People Love Dead Jews," which is a series of just like excellent essays on just kind of the state of Judaism right now.
It's quite the title.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna go for the Talmud.
Yeah.
I'll have read "People Love Dead Jews" by the end of this year.
I'll check in with you guys and see how you're doing.
Appreciate it.
I'm gonna get into dafs I'm just gonna do a daf every day now.
Yeah, it's a thing.
All right, so Lair House, tell us first of all how you came up with this concept, and because it's really unique. Like what you guys created is such a cool place and experience. So I'd love to hear kind of what's that origin story of Lair House.
I co-founded Lair House with my friend Josh Forer. It was really like a pandemic, kind of brainstorming activity. We were building a table together in his basement. He's a woodworker. I needed a table. It made sense at the time, and it was like during one of these ebbs and flows of the pandemic, when we were talking about like what the world is going to look like after like lockdown and when things get a little bit better. We started imagining a world where people would really want to congregate in like a kind of like an explosion of public life, and started realizing that like there's not a lot of like great Jewish spaces for that. Like if you're not a synagogue person, if you don't belong to a JCC, like where do you go to experience Judaism? And both Josh and I have like a deep love for Jewish text and Jewish learning, and realizing like that's like inaccessible for most people. So from that kind of kernel of a want or desire of like vibrant Jewish public spaces that are accessible and puts forward the best of the Jewish world, we started kind of like iterating, and then wound up with this concept of Lair House, of like this this place where there's learning going on almost every night. We have like 3,000 volumes of Jewish books ranging from the Talmud to cookbooks and graphic novels and literature and philosophy. We have a menu, both a bar menu and a food menu that brings together like really the vast diversity of the Jewish diaspora. So, when people think about Jewish food in North America, they think either deli, kind of like Ashkenazi food, or Israeli food, and kind of go beyond that and tell stories of the broader Jewish diaspora as well.
That's amazing. And sort of nail on the head regarding the cuisine. I think, my family grew up right outside of Chicago. Those were sort of your options, right? But there were the range of backgrounds of Jewish people outside of Chicago. It's like you get basically everything, and there's very limited options. So it's very interesting to see that.
Yeah, and so I mean, like we really kind of push like what people think about in terms of Jewish food. So we have like tomorrow we're going to be putting on like a buttered rum that's flavored with like a clarified butter with nitzer kibbeh, which is like an Ethiopian spice, kind of drawing in like those flavors. Mm-hmm. We have a drink, colonial aroma, which is like pulling from like Mexican and Syrian flavors. Yeah, I mean, we do all sorts of fun stuff. The soup out that we're doing for the donuts that we're doing for Hanukkah are sweet potato donuts with a dulce de leche filling and a Hawaii sugar spice on the outside, which is this
Oh
kind of like
wow.
but it's good. It's
Sign
good
me up.
stuff. Yeah, it's good stuff. We tell them good stories through the food.
And as far as you mentioned that you have 3,000 volumes of Jewish literature. Where do you create the exclusion criteria? Is a Jewish author good enough to get it into your library? Does it need to speak on Judaism? Josh was asking if you have recommendations for graphic novels for his son. So
Yeah. Um, graphic novels for your son. I'd have to think. Like most of the graphic novels we have are a little bit on the adulty side.
Mhm.
Uh, the Yeah, so I mean, if you like look hard enough, you could probably find some things that are like Jewish authors, but not really Jewish content. But we really try to like to have it really all like the deeply Jewish content. Yeah, it's interesting because we have a similar issue on the food side where it's like we try and draw a distinction between Jewish foods and food Jews eat, right? Which and it's not a clear line there, but we try to come up with some criteria around that.
you don't have a scallion pancake on the menu.
Yeah, exactly. That's like the classic example, right?
Yeah.
When I went
Well,
in, I felt right at home because there was a lactate pill dispenser just like right there.
Yeah.
And the beet Reuben, as I mentioned, was just on point, which leads me to a specific question that I'm going to ask you, Charlie, is um, speaking of Jewish delicatessen staple foods, what was the first instance of the Reuben eaten? Is it a Jewish food? Is that something
Uh,
that you
it
might
is
specifically
like
be able to answer?
it's like a Midwest hotel, I think. Like maybe I mean, I don't think it's Chicago, but I think it's somewhere in the
Wait,
Midwest. I like started making them, and there is like a Jewish deli, even though like the classic group is
wait,
not kosher.
wait.
It is like very much like a Jewish deli kind of an origin story there.
I want to share the menu for your Talmudic menu because that's where I got that question. So I was like, okay,
Yeah, yeah.
this
But
is
uh,
straight.
we have a great beer story too. Have I told you our
Oh
beer
yeah,
story?
we'll get into the beer story, but that was just was it Lithuania? It was Nebraska, Lincoln,
Nebraska.
Nebraska.
That's
So
it.
for everyone who wants to after, don't just start watching looking at this now. I haven't taken pictures of menus in a long time, but when I went into Lair House, I needed to I needed all of these fun facts about Judaism as part of this experience. But yeah, let's get into the beer side. So
Yeah,
you guys have a pretty awesome beer selection
yeah. So there's two like
at
cool
Lair
stories
House.
here. One is that like so we're under Orthodox kosher supervision. And usually beer is okay, but like our supervising agency wanted to check out all the breweries that we're bringing beer in from, and we didn't want to send them too far. So that means that all of our beer comes from within about 20 miles of Lair House. So it's all super local beer. We have some delicious stuff on tap. But the cool beer story I want to tell you is we did this amazing collaboration for Oktoberfest. We put on all these Oktoberfest events, like doing Oktoberfest reimagined as a celebration of Jewish culture. We got the German consulate here to pay for all the educational stuff, so they sponsored it. And we collaborated with Lamplighter, a local brewery, like maybe 4 or 5 blocks from us, to do what's called a Zeugel beer. And so, like, Zeugel means like sign in Bavarian German, in the Bavarian dialect. And like these home brewers or these communal brewers, like when they had beer ready, they would put out a sign outside of their communal brewing house that beer was ready, and that sign was a Jewish star. It was like the brewer's star, which is the same as a Jewish star. And so like Zeugel beer is sign beer, so it's like reminiscent. It reminds you of like that Magen David, that Jewish star. As you can imagine, this custom fell out of fashion with the Nazis. And so like we resurrected it. You can still find local beers in Bavaria and in a couple other places, but like yeah, we resurrected it, and like we had this amazing collaboration with Lamplighter putting out this like incredibly delicious beer. And we usually don't like sell that much beer at the tavern, so it's like all of my staff was like, you know, "Hey, guys, we're getting like 6 kegs. We're never gonna sell it. Like it's gonna last forever. Like, what are you doing?" 2 weeks. It took us 2 weeks to sell through it because so yeah, it was like a fun project. I'm curious, anyone out there ever have a Zoigle beer before?
Anyone in the chat? Any Zoigle? I don't know. Looks like it's on.
A
I've
real,
had
if
a
you build it, they
Zoigle.
will come. If you brew it, they will come situation. Right.
Yeah, yeah,
But that's the unique thing. Like people that are kosher are going to feel comfortable drinking the beer from Lair House. And this is kind of I get asked this question because we do a Hoppy Hanukkah experience, and we know that there is not 8 breweries that have kosher beer. I mean, on the first night we had the one of 4. We had Lycum Brewery out of Portland, Oregon,
yeah,
come, and so they are an actual kosher brewery, woman-owned kosher brewery, and but it's the whole parv thing, and you actually had to have the people that do the certifications go to these breweries to make sure they're not using. Todd just learned about isinglass and all of the
yeah.
things that
Hey, no, no,
that beer can't have if you're kosher, like
yeah.
uh,
No, I feel like very few
fish
breweries,
bladder.
as far as I know, use isinglass. It's more like, you know, uh, oyster stouts aren't unheard of, right? And like things like that. Like as brewers try and get more creative with their flavor profiles and like, you know, juicing them with like, you know, non-traditional ingredients, then it becomes trickier. So, but yeah, but we did it, so it's definitely doable.
And that's great. Yeah, when I went in there, I was like, "Whoa! You have Night Shift, and you had Lamplighter, and you've had all these breweries." I was like,
Yeah,
how are you saying you're kosher and you have these breweries?" And
yeah.
it was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing."
Yeah, no, that was that was what I mean. Again, like I'm from Portland, so from Portland, Oregon. So like when we
Oh,
were
so are you
talking,
familiar with Lycum?
yeah,
Have you heard of Lycum?
they're great.
Yeah,
But
Sonia
like
and Theo are awesome.
when I was talking to our kosher certification agency, I was like, there's no way we're gonna do this with you unless we can have great beer. And they're like, all right, let's do it. So yeah, it's good. Guys, I apologize. We're just dealing with a little bit of an issue here, but I just want to say like thank you so much for having me and happy Hanukkah. And yeah, like well, let me know people out there listening. Let me know like when you guys are in town. Would love to welcome you at Lair House.
Appreciate it, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie. If anyone's in the Boston area, Somerville, you can learn about Lair House at Lair House LEHR.HUS is
HAU.
there. HAU. Oh, sorry, HAU. No S. That's too German. I'm in the German mindset right now.
Yeah, Lair House. We're at lehr.haus. Thank you guys so much.
All
It's
right,
like
take it easy.
Okay.
Thanks, Charlie.
That's the fun part of restaurant ownership that people like don't tell you
This is a
about.
busy night for this is like so they're closed on Saturday
Of
on
course.
Friday nights. So like a restaurant's like it's their busy Friday is one of the restaurants one of the busiest nights, right? And
Yeah.
so they're closed. So Sunday and Saturday night are their big nights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting down there. It's spaces like that, I think I expect to see more of because whatever it is, because I think just the experiential concept is like there's a million restaurants you go to, like, and Liana just said tonight they
I was
taught
just
how to tell a
saying
Jewish joke, which
we probably
if you
should have
need a
taken that
class
class.
for it, you might be if you need a class to teach you, you might be in big trouble. But that's genius. What a fun concept.
Yeah, that you have to look at the menu. Everyone take a look after and just this menu is just a work of art, in my opinion. Literary art. That's your next book, Todd, is I just want to ask you questions about this menu.
Yeah, I mean, we know as fine purveyors of shtick, I
We
don't think there's
appreciate
anything. Yeah,
and just the cocktails too.
yeah.
We didn't even talk about cocktails, but their cocktails are on point.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right
Jacob,
now.
three
Yemeni
shakes, the
espresso
Lulib
martini.
cocktail.
It's perfect. Should we get back on the lager train?
I think so. Yeah, let's jump back into the lagers for the
Jed,
next
what's your
10 minutes
favorite
and then
kind of lager? What's your favorite beer style that falls under the lager category?
Vienna lagers.
I had a very mediocre one yesterday, and I won't tell you where.
Oof. I can't
Very,
imagine. Is it in Vermont?
very.
Not Von Trapp.
No, theirs is
Because Von Trapp is, if
great.
you're looking for a lager, they know how to do lagers. Like they are the best, in my opinion, from a lager perspective. Jack's Abbey too. If you're in the
Yeah, there's a
Mass,
lot of great lager producers. I think Von Trapp
just
does
like
it the
straight lager, like
best.
that's really what their focus is lagers.
Mhm.
Ooh, Josh
Yeah.
says Schwartz beers. I do love a good Schwartz beer. Ooh, nope. My favorite Vienna lagers are my favorite, but Rausch beers,
Mm,
which is
I
the
like
for
it.
people not familiar
Two
with Rausch
ounces at
beers,
a
those are going to
time
be
for
beers that taste and smell like smoke.
yeah. I'm a I've been going through the variety of pilsners, and I went through a period of time where I only wanted Italian pilsners. And now it's Czech pilsners. But I like a Tomave.
That
Uh,
was one. That's a delicious dark Czech lager.
yeah, yeah. I a dark
That's not
lager.
as common. That's not as common of a lager.
I think you're
How many lager styles can you name?
ooh.
You think you got 10?
I can do 10. Am I allowed to pull the like
You can't
German
do
pills,
Czech. You
Czech
can't do Czech
pills?
German. You can't
I
say
can't do okay.
Czech Pilsner, German Pilsner. That's
Pills,
cheating.
Helles, Vienna, Amber.
Amber is not a lager.
Who make an amber? Okay, fine.
It's not a style.
You can amber anything. Tomave, Rauch beer, like
You're at five
Oktoberfest.
right now. All right. And if
Oktoberfest.
anyone says something in the chat, it's no, you can't use it.
Oktoberfest. This isn't, they're gonna.
I don't know. Marzen is an Oktoberfest, so I think you can't. I don't know if you can use Oktoberfest. So
What do you
people
mean?
in the chat flood it with different lagers, so it makes
Okay,
Todd's life way
fine. No, no,
harder.
no. This is okay. What about an India Pale Lager? That's a thing. Maibach.
Okay, fine. A pale lager, I'll give you that.
Maibach.
Okay,
The American Lager, like my favorite kind of beer.
fine.
Um,
John,
Dortmund.
Kolsch's are actually
Dortmunder.
ales.
They're ales.
They're ales, but they're fermented around usually lager temperatures. So it that's a tough one. Still, but they taste like lagers.
Dortmunder.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Hmm.
That was that was an impressive one. Okay.
Can I pull like the Doppelbock, Eisbock?
Those are all different
Dark.
lagers, so I'll give them to you. So
Um,
then you got your 10.
are Berliner Weiss's lagers?
No, those are ales.
Those are ales, right? Okay, I hit my 10. Fine. Um,
That's good.
I I went through a Bach period, and now maybe
All beer. Yep.
ooh,
Do you
you
know,
know
do
what?
you know, can I geek out? So lagers uh versus ales, usually lagers are going to be much lighter in body. Do you know why?
Yeah.
You've been on my tour, so you probably do. But
No.
the lager yeast can eat a more complex sugar that's in during the made in the mash called raffinose, and that's what gives beer part of what gives beer its body. And so lagers are typically going to be just lighter in body because this lager yeast can do better, like more work on these higher complex chain sugars. All right, that was my geek out. We don't need to get into that. But interesting that you're always going to find lagers being lighter in body than ales. So don't judge a beer by its color
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, why,
appearance.
Chad, why do you think that the American lager, like the American light lager, besides like the economic ability of it feasibility of it to become like to flood the market post prohibition. Why do you think that the palate in America is so in love with it?
I think you already hit the nail on the head. It's-
It was an economic thing. It's cheap.
yeah, how you gonna get a 30? What craft breweries are doing 30 racks? Are there any?
I
Does anyone
mean,
know
yeah.
of a craft brewery that has a 30 rack of something? I'm curious. I don't.
Mm-mm. Just I feel like I just
That's
recently
just
started
so much beer if you think about it, like as an adult. We in college, me and
how
Tom went
long
to
it would take me
college
to drink
together.
30
We
beers.
would buy so many 30 racks and 30 beers at once. Oh, sorry, Elisa. So a 30 rack are 30 12-ounce cans in one box.
When you put it like that, the absurdity of it does really
It's
ring
absurd.
true. Yeah. And it's like they're $20, right?
Yeah. They're under $1 a beer. You can't even get a soda from a soda machine for $1,
Mm-hmm.
but you can get a 30 rack. Well, but that's, I think that's the answer of why the American mackerel lager became so popular is that, yeah, corn definitely, the ingredients that they're putting in, rice and corn, so they're not just using um, straight barley, which is going to be a lot more expensive in general. So that's definitely going to play a part into how they can charge the
Yeah.
prices and they do it at scale, so there's definitely economies of scale of as you produce more you can reduce your expenses. They have future contracts on barley and on rice and on corn for who
There's that
knows.
great, what's that great Matt Damon movie where he's a corn consultant?
There's a lot of great
No, where he
Matt
works in the
Damon
corn
movies.
industry. Um,
Field of Dreams.
no, it might be is it Informant? Yes, Brianna. It is hysterical. It is absolutely hilarious. Chad, there's a question in the chat. Who was it? It was Johnny said, "What is the deal with the Plato or degrees you see with certain Czech beer?" I'm thinking about you'll see it at Notch in Boston. You'll see it at Schilling in New Hampshire.
So Plato has to do with just the sugar content in your beer. So it's just when you're brewing beer, you're looking at like your gravity and you measure gravity by Plato. And so typically you're going to have less residual sugar in lagers. So that's probably why you're
Yeah,
seeing those Plato numbers.
it's also
But it's
like
essentially the density of what the beer. So that's what Plato is measuring, the dense how much sugar content is in your beer in the beginning and then at the end. Because then that lets them calculate alcohol.
solid. That's what we were looking for. Um, Now I'm just thinking about lagers. Do you have a favorite?
Gonna be ridiculous. Boston
Like a
Lager.
single beer? Yeah.
Boston
Which
Lager.
you know what
It's
some might call
just
that?
what?
Some people might call that an amber lager.
But it's actually a Vienna lager.
What color is it?
I mean, they might say gold, straw, topaz.
People forget I'm colorblind, Chad.
Do you know what style? I'm curious in the chat if anyone knows this. Negro Modelo. What style of beer is a Negro Modelo?
Is it a
Very
dark
common
beer?
Mexican beer. Josh has got it. It's a Vienna lager because a large population of Viennese people, brewers, in the late 1800s moved to Mexico and started brewing there. So Mexico has a lot of Vienna lagers as from that um from those
From the
people from
travel.
Vienna Vienna
Viennese.
Brewers coming to Mexico.
That's a
One of my
very
favorite.
fun fact.
It's my favorite Mexican beer too, Josh. I would say
Ever had
Negro Modelo's.
Victoria?
If you're gonna have the tomato, not a Bloody Mary, a
Bloody Maria.
no.
Oh no, you're talking about a
Why am I blanking?
you did this to me. You made me unable to think about one of my favorite things in the world. Michelada.
The Michelada. Negro Modelo's in a Michelada is one of my favorite.
I once went to a when I this is just now we're just talking, but I once went to a taco festival in a bank parking lot in Pilsen, Chicago, and the line for micheladas was the longest line I've ever stood in because it was like a husband and wife team who made michelada mixture you could only buy it 5 days of the year, and that was one of the days, and it was the best thing I ever had. It was great.
Did it have any kind of rim,
Yeah,
salted rim?
yeah, but it was like the tagine almost, so like the seasoning. It was really nice. Um, yeah, like a Mexican. I like Mexican lagers a lot.
Yeah, I mean, in general lagers. Whenever I ask someone if like, okay, what kind of beers they like, and then they just say a term lagers, it immediately I understand that they don't know really anything about beer at that point, and I have to. That's like one of my quick tells of how am I going to run a tour when someone's like, I like lagers.
Mhm.
Every lager that Todd named earlier, they like it. Icebox to my box to Schwartz beers,
That's like saying like
they like it
I like
all.
protein. It's like
I like meat of
yeah.
any animal. It's true. They could like all lagers.
There's there's like the distribution of people like people on the left side of the normal distribution chart who know nothing about beer and people on the right side who know everything about beer, and like I think the thing they have in common is they both like lagers. It's like when Charlie was just saying, he's like, give me a Miller High Life.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that answer. It just lets me know how to run the tour. I'm not going to get into
Freeze
raffinose
Play-Doh.
probably and the science behind how you're gonna, I don't know, sour beer or something like that.
You drinking many sours these days?
Haven't had a sour in a little while, though. I know that then one of the next coming boxes for the beer club there is a delicious sour, so going to get that. A broken clock is accurate twice a day.
That's true.
It is true.
Um, Happy fourth night of Hanukkah.
I think so. It was great to have Charlie. Definitely check out Lair House, guys. It is so good. And happy National Lager Day.
The Bears
And
won today, so happy.
happy Bears winning day.
And Brianna, go Birds. I'll
And
say.
I hope everyone has a great Monday and you have something to look forward to tomorrow, which you'll see us again. And we got
10
night
inches of
five's
snow in Vermont.
beer. What'd you say? It's gonna
10
get
inches of snow.
10 inches of snow. Will you be able to join us?
I don't think my computer is gonna be
I hope you can commute into
into
your office
my
that's in your
studio.
home.
Into my studio.
Exactly.
All
All
right.
right, sir.
See y'all tomorrow.
Everyone, happy fourth night. We'll see you guys